Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that wine in your system for your glass a little. Expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, got them binge watching. You don't like it, then you want to invite it. Bet your friends watching in the house and your job parking lot before you clock in. They don't want to miss a second of this HD content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn you back until you start try again, Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
I just love that song.
I know. She did her thing.
Yes. Yes, that's my niece Thailand music. For y'all who are watching, check her out she's on YouTube, she's on Facebook, she's on IG, TYLYNN, Thailand music. And thank you everybody for tuning in this evening. This is Tanya from the Hood Table and my co-host Kia. Give us some love, Caramel Diva.
Hey. Y'all know what time it is.
Yes, it's time to bring it to the Hood Table. And we have a special guest tonight. And as her title says, her name is Precious, and she's with the Nebraska Democratic Party. And actually, as Precious, as far as her actual title is, it's with the NDP Caucus, right?
Yes, so the Nebraska Democratic Party Black Caucus chair.
Okay. All right. Okay. And please introduce yourself, Precious, if you will.
My name is Precious McKesson. Like Tanya said, I'm the constituency director for the Nebraska Democratic Party, and I'm also the Nebraska Democratic Party Black Caucus chair until June. Okay. Because I'm not running for real.
Until June. I'm nominating you anyway.
Yes. we might have to discuss that later now.
Right, we're gonna talk about that off camera.
Well, first, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We just went live, so people will be trickling in, and we did post it on our Facebook page, and I sent out the notification. So everybody who comes in, make sure you like the video, share the video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. That's Caramel Diva.
Ring my bell. You know me. You know that's my song.
Yes.
We have to play that. Just that little snippet.
I know. So everybody coming in, make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell. Thank you so much. Now, Miss Precious, first thing first, could you please explain to us what the NDP, the Black Caucus of Nebraska is? A lot of people don't know what that is. So if you can please explain that to us.
So mainly the Nebraska Democratic Party Black Caucus is an extension of the Nebraska Democratic Party. You have several caucuses within the Nebraska Democratic Party. So you have the Black Caucus, Latino Caucus, Native Caucus, Rural Caucus, Women's Caucus. So basically the Black Caucus is a part of the Democratic Party, and our job is to make sure that the issues of the Black community are being addressed on the state level when it comes to the Democratic Party.
Okay.
All right.
So that's what a caucus does, is just they address specific issues to a specific group.
Yes. So you have your rural caucus, for example. Let's say your climate caucus. So you have your climate caucus. So they're going to basically focus on what's going on in the climate world. So things that are trickling down nationally or things that are going across the world, they're making sure that they are having a constituency and make sure that the Democratic Party is aligning themselves in regards to those issues that will affect people who are a part of the climate caucus and who are basically concerned about the climate. So they're making sure that we know what's going on.
Okay. All right. And so is the Black Caucus, is that a particular party like Democrats, Republican,
Black,
or can you be like, see, a lot of people don't know like the difference between independent and Democrat and Republican. So I really want to make sure that we break those three things down, because some people like, I'm independent because I think a lot of people like go independent because they just don't know anything about
indecisive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're indecisive. I think so. Let me just say this first: to be a part of the Nebraska Democratic Party Black Caucus, you have to be you have to be a registered Democrat.
Okay.
In order to be on any of the committees or to make a vote, we welcome anyone. We have allies that don't look like us who come in all the time and are supportive of us doing. They just don't have a vote. So we have bylaws. And you have to identify as an African American or African American descent in order to have an actual vote. Now, as for independent, you couldn't be a part of the Black Caucus because, again, independent is an actual different is another party. Normally, if you are an independent, it's nothing wrong with being an independent. Because number one, the Democratic Party, the Nebraska Democratic Party, we let independents vote in our election. So if you're an independent, you can stay an independent and you can request a Democratic ballot and still vote in our election. Independents normally are people who align themselves, who may have they may agree or disagree with both parties, and they get to choose. So they weigh out their options. They're not locked in saying, okay, I'm a Democrat, I only vote for Democrats. They are able to say, you know what, I don't align myself with neither one of these parties. I'm gonna be an independent and I'll decide who I want to vote for. Independent.
So are you able to change your party affiliation at any time, or only as specific, or is there a certain number of times that you can do that?
No, you can change your party at any time. You don't it's no time limit. What I will suggest is that if it's an election year, you want to make sure you change your party affiliation before the cutoff, because once that cutoff hits, if you say you're a registered Democrat, then again, you will still have to ask for a Democratic ballot, but you always want to make sure that you do it in a timely enough manner so that it reflects on the voting record. So, I mean, you can change it. It's not a limit. I mean, there's people that change their party. People say, I'm fed up with the Democrats. You know, I don't say you should suggest people who say, you know what, I don't want to be a Democrat. I don't want to be a Republican. I want to be an independent, and I want to be able to make my own choice and kind of align myself the way I want to align myself.
Okay.
All right. Well, one thing I had heard was that government and politics impacts nearly every aspect of someone's life. Do you agree with that?
Most definitely. I mean, politics, it affects everybody. I mean, you just look at it now. You have the rich who are not paying, you say you have Amazon who's not paying federal taxes, and then you have the lowest of the low income who are paying or missing out on taxes or missing out on different benefits for their families because of politics. So everybody is affected in some way, somehow. Either they're getting an extra benefit, or they're that's for them, which is a negative. To me, looking at it, that's a negative. But then you have, I mean, all of it's a negative. That's a negative, and this is a negative. They shouldn't be treating us the way they is being in somehow. It might be positive for that person, but me looking in at Amazon, that's a negative to me. That you can sell 11 billion or more dollars in product and you don't have to pay taxes, but then you have a single mom like me who then has to turn around and pay extra taxes and who don't get a credit or most likely have to pay the IRS. It doesn't make sense.
And I didn't even know that. Like, you brought something new to my attention. I didn't know. Now, is that like for a lot of companies that size, you know, that size of that magnitude where they just don't pay taxes? And is it because of like so many jobs they're offering, or is it because of other kind of things that, like, what makes them not be, you know, rendered taxes?
the laws that are being passed by the people who are elected. They're letting these major corporations get away with not having to pay taxes, or people who are rich, so the rich get richer and the poor get. It goes based off of what's being passed in our legislation on a federal level. That's what dictates our taxes and what's going on. And so it's sad that there's people out here working 2 to 3 jobs. Like, for instance, excuse me, President Trump is always saying, oh, the African American community, or African Americans, the unemployment is down for them. This is the best year. This is the best time for African Americans. But what they fail to realize is that there's African Americans that are working 3 and 4 jobs to make ends meet. So really, truly, it's not work. It'll be different if they're able to work one job and get quality and equal pay. But they're working 3 jobs, so that's why he can say that it is down, because we're trying to work to make ends meet. So I hate when they say that, because they're not giving the true numbers of it. It might be down, but we're still struggling at the end of the day because we're missing time with our families and we're trying to still pay the bills to survive.
Girl, you said a mouthful there.
Yes.
You said a mouthful there.
I mean, almost everybody I know is either working 2 or 3 jobs, or they looking for another job. And like you said, even if you are able to work 2 or 3 jobs and help your family out by paying bills, you missing a whole bunch of time away from your family, from your children. Children are either left at home more often, or in daycare more often, or out here doing.
Somebody else is raising your children, whether it's the streets or grandma or daycare, but you missing out because you at work, like you said, trying to make up for shortfalls because big business isn't paying what they should. They're not paying their weight in taxes.
Right, and I mean, imagine if minimum wage was at $15 mandatory, and then going up from there. I mean, just think of so many people would be able to afford housing, not and still be not have a little bit of serious cushion, but be able to still have a little bit of relief. I should say, not cushion, a little bit of relief.
Because housing is ridiculous right now.
It is. We don't have no affordable housing. We don't have that much affordable housing. We have people that are coming out of the system who can't get housing because you have landlords who are using what they went against, using basically punishing them for their crime. Still, have our veterans who are homeless. You have so much. You have these slumlords that are just getting away scot-free, getting money from the federal government, and then not taking care of the properties. I mean, you have so much that's going on, and people are really trying to make it. And so, I mean, it really boils down to who we have elected in office and making sure that people get out. People are the everyday person, not the person who is already well off. I mean, nothing. I don't want to say anything about people who are well off, because I don't. That's them. But we have a lot of people who aren't, and we need people in there who are fighting for those people, not just thinking of the other people. They're fighting for the underdogs.
Right.
The 99%, not the 1.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see. What was I going to ask you? As far as, for like the average person out here who doesn't know a lot about politics, when it comes to time to vote, whether it's local or national, what do you think primarily is the most important thing that people should know who don't really have a clue about voting? What would you recommend? Because they say vote, but then people are sitting around at home like, who that person? Who, like, people who don't really know who people are, or
who the candidates are and what they stand for.
Yeah, right.
What's their platform?
Yeah, what do you recommend as far as what the average person who knows not that much about politics, what do you recommend, and what do you think is the most important thing they should know before they go to the polls?
Well, number one is people need to understand that their vote does count, and it does matter, especially at the local level. Number two, you vote up and down the ballot. You just don't vote for your high federal office president and then leave the rest blank. You go from the president down to the school board, because any single way they are impacting your community in some way, shape, or form. If someone is not familiar with candidates, I know if you go to the Nebraska Democratic Party website, you can go to our website, and on there's a tab that says 2020 candidates. Right now, we have over 80 candidates running across Nebraska, from Senate down to the NRD board, which is natural resources.
Wow.
You have people running in every capacity. So go to the website, click on their name, reach them on Facebook, because these candidates have a platform. Their information is there. You can get that information from there. And then my thing is too, if you want information from a candidate, email them, inbox them, because my thing is that they want to go into office. If you don't wait until they get in office to be accessible to you. Email them now. Ask them, what are you running on? I need more information about you. And I promise you, that will give you a better understanding of politics. Don't just wait until it comes time to go into the voting booth to vote for someone. You have a right to vet them. And so I just think people should really use those resources. The internet is going to be your best friend during this time. And we just got to make sure we get people the right tools and the right websites where to go to. So again, if you go to Nebraska, if you just Google Nebraska Democratic Party, click on the link when you come onto our website. There's a button up on top that says, let me see, about. And then you scroll down and click on 2020 candidates, and then it'll give you every single candidate, and underneath it, if that candidate in the federal offices, it'll show if they have a Facebook, Twitter, or any type, or email, and you can click on that and you can correspond with them.
Oh, okay. See, this is information that I did not know. I talk to Tanya all the time, and I tell her, too often, a lot of parents, especially in urban areas, we hang our kids' hopes and dreams on sports, on rapping, but instead, take that rapper and make him a English major. Take that, let's support some of these kids that are not athletes. And, I tell my son all the time, why don't you turn to political science? You like politics, you like debating, go into there, go read about it. Go do something. These are people that change laws. These are movers and shakers. And this affects you every day. Mm-hmm. I'm like, go be that. Why don't, and I just think we need to start encouraging different avenues for our kids.
Yeah.
Why not be a politician?
Right.
So you can change some stuff and make it better than what it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. Because look at the different the dynasties, like the different families. A lot of the people that are in politics, normally they're generational. They started like somebody in their family.
They've been in power for 100 years.
Yeah, so you have people who have been there. Like politics, I never thought in a million years that I would love politics the way I did. I mean, I do like one thing I love. Shout out to my American history teacher at Northwest High School years ago.
Hey, go Huskies!
Him and Mr. McFadden used to do current events, and at first I was like, "Why are we doing these current events?" But it made me appreciate reading the newspaper, and it made me appreciate looking at the American history. And I would always ask Mr. Croft, but I was like, "Mr. Croft, we're missing something in American history." And he's like, "What?" I said, "We're missing Black folks." And he would always say, "He said, okay, Precious, I'm like, where we missing us? Y'all stop. Y'all, it's like they stopped at Dr. Martin Luther King. Like after Dr. Martin Luther King existed." I'm like, what's going on here?
And like we just came from King. I mean, there was nobody before him and nobody after him.
Yeah, they stopped at King, Rosa Parks, and Malcolm.
Right.
Come on. So I think
they don't even mention Malcolm.
No,
they're afraid to.
And that's the sad part. Because regardless of what his views were, he had a very, very instrumental part in the civil rights and the different things.
Society.
I mean, look, he was changing society. And I just think it's really good now that we're getting our kids invested and educated in the politics. No, it's still on. But yeah, so just getting our kids involved in politics, that's the best thing. It's really getting them excited about politics, because we want them to be the ones in city council, school board, Congress, president. We want them to be able to be making some change. So definitely, we want to push them to it. It's really fun once you get to know how it rolls. You be like, wow, this is what they're doing in here. This is how they're controlling it. So, and I think the impeachment was a prime example of getting kids engaged in what's going on.
And a lot of kids were engaged because I think a lot of people were really tuning in because this could have, if it would have went a certain way, it could have been something really, really big and something for our children to like, okay, like when it comes to the hood, what I learned from growing up in the hood from parents who, my mother voted, but I never heard her talk about any of the presidents, any of the candidates, whether it's local or national or, the bigger picture. And so when me and my bros was coming up, it was like, okay, you're finally 18. You can vote. And it's like, we don't know nothing about nothing. When you get 18 years old, you walk in there and you're like, I can vote. I show my ID. And then you look at the ballots and it's like, what do I do now? So I really think that like when it comes to kids like that who don't really have I don't want to say a role model, but somebody in their family who really was into politics and could like, kind of help guide them. I think there should be
into politics. I would just say somebody who was into current events.
Yeah, that works. Current events or it's like okay, Democrat. When I turned 18, I didn't know the difference between a Democrat or a Republican. All I know was most of the Republicans weren't. People would say they're not really for us. That's one thing that people, and I seen somebody on Facebook, I can't remember her name right now, but she changed from Democrat to independent. And the reason why she did was because a lot of people would always stress how Democrats were more for Black people compared to Republicans and it's like when you get out there and you don't know the difference, I think sometimes a lot of people end up voting for somebody that they probably wish they hadn't voted for. So could you please explain like the difference between like the Democrat, the Republicans? I know it would probably take you forever to go into full detail, but just,
Well, historically, Black people were Republican up until the late 60s.
Yes, they were.
And then everything just flip-flopped.
Yeah.
And we became Democratic and then they became Republicans.
Every Black person.
Yeah.
It's like John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy had something to do with that because before then, Republicans were, number one, our slave masters most likely were Republicans, the ones who owned us in those states were Republicans. So they were the party of people. I really when it comes to saying Republican, I really don't have much positive to say about them. So I can't talk about them because my thing is that some people might think they represent what they do. I don't think they do because just looking at the people that we have in office, the Mitch McConnells, the Chuck Grassley's, the Donald Trump, the Mike Pence, all those people have, and even the Rush Limbaugh, like those people have really degraded. Stephen King have degraded the Black community. Ben Sass, Deb Fisher, like they don't represent me, and they don't represent the struggle of the Black community. Now, I will say this, and I say this on the record. People know, they say that the Black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. When I took this job, the one thing that I really want to focus on is that and I say this, and people know I say this, and so it's not being offensive, but we have had the issue where when people are running for office, they flood on, they like congregate on the Black community to get that vote, and then once they get into office, they leave. In re-election, they come back, and that was one thing that I told them, like, Black people can no longer, especially in North Omaha, can no longer be the break in case of emergency vote for anybody. And I gave you an example of the fire. When you hit the fire and they say pull this to start to make the alarm, I felt that that's how Black people were in the vote. Click, pull, they'll come vote. And with my job at the Democratic Party, but I felt that I have done a good job at is strengthening that message, because in 2016 people lost faith. People lost faith. I would say
Yeah.
after Obama,
Yeah.
people lost
I
faith in the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's honestly not true. And so
The
we have
thing
to have
is,
a job.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say the thing is, I think with the election in 2016, too many people were like, "Oh, Hillary got it in the bag," and they didn't go vote because they said,
Okay,
"Oh,
so
so and so gonna go vote, so I don't have to go vote." And
that's
then
the thing.
look who came in, game show host, the bad
What
egg.
that's the thing. So that's the issue that um I don't think that a job of vote. I mean, you got this one person who is basically, you have people coming out of the mountains, the backwoods of Tennessee and Kentucky. They had money for this man, because this man basically the hate or the different views that they have suppressed, they can say publicly. You have this man who is saying it, and so they're like, "Oh my God, this is who we need." He feels the way he felt. So, 2 terms, they were upset about Obama being president, but they benefited off of Obama being president. And so now you got this man who is saying all these awful things, and you're like, "Oh my God, he feels the way I feel about this, and I'm going to support him." And that's what happened. You have people that mostly had never voted before just coming out from the back room to, and that's the sad part. That's really the sad part. That is really the sad part. That's why the Democrats have to play catch up, and that's why we've been playing catch up. We've been trying to, we have to work hard to gain that base back, because people lost faith. I mean, look what we've been going through for the past 3 years, 3.5 years almost. So
When
we
he
gotta
played
do
on
better.
his fears, that is what he did. He
He
played
did.
on a lot of these people's fears. That fear mongering. I mean, oh no, the Muslims are coming. They're going to attack. Oh no, the Mexicans, they're going to they're bringing cartels in, and they're going to, and it was like, okay, but you're gonna build a fence this big when you got a border this big.
Yeah. He
But you
played a
notice it was only to keep brown people out.
Yeah, he did a scare tactic, and people were scared that their families were going to be, their house like getting over. You would have thought. I mean, the way he did it. I mean, it's sad, but I mean, I think that
He did
we
it
have
He executed it perfectly.
and one thing I can say,
he executed it perfectly.
and one thing I'll say, and I don't like really spending a lot of time on that man, but what I will say is that what he may have lied about grabbing the puss and doing everything else. He lied about saying he didn't do it. But what the man didn't lie about is what he was going to do when he got in office. And he has did exactly what he said he was going to do. And
his whole agenda was to undo everything that Obama did. That was it. He didn't have nothing else planned.
Nope.
But to undo everything that Obama did. And those people, there was people who could not stand. It was funny to me. They could not stand Obama because he was black, but they forgot that he was half white too. They couldn't stand that black man was in the office, but they forget his mama was a white lady from Kansas. And it's so sad that we still going through this in 2020. We're still going through this. We're still fighting this in 2020.
Yeah, so we just got to educate people more. We got to.
I agree. Now, what do you think is one of the top issues? Like, what do you think right now is the biggest political issue in our country?
Y'all, sorry, my mom is yelling in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can repeat it.
You said what is our biggest right now in the political? I think it's really our I will say our economy. Then I'll say affordable health care. And then I'll say the criminal justice reform. But definitely the economy. Because again, it goes back to they keep saying that they're creating these jobs, and you still have people who are unemployed. Right. I don't get it. You still have people working 2 and 3 jobs to be able to make it. Those are my top 3. I think that we need to be focusing on. You know, I know people say, well, say climate change. Mm-hmm. We know climate change is happening. Right. We know that. Look what happened over the summer when it's flooded. And that's the crazy thing. You got Don Bacon who's in office, and he don't even want to admit that climate change happened, but they just gave all this like millions and millions of dollars to Offit and Ashland to redo what they got to do because they were flooded out. Sir, that is just not.
I was just talking about that last night because, you know, some of the people with the coronavirus, you know, from China, some of the people that might have been infected, they came here today. They came to Eppley Airfield and they're taking them to Ashland, Nebraska, where it flooded last year. They got houses on stilts out there, and they still have the training out there with the military, and they said it don't matter if they out there or not, or if these people have corona or not, they still sending them down there.
They'll be quarantined. So
yeah, they said they're quarantined.
Trust me, as that will be completely cordoned off, and it'll be by CDC protocol. They won't have, unless it's a healthcare worker, they won't have any access to the outside, to anybody outside of that facility. Mm-hmm. So as far as that spreading and stuff, that wouldn't even, and you know, the person down there.
I just couldn't believe that they had them there when it's like everything was destroyed. Like, they have houses on stilts.
Camp Ashland is federal ground. That's federal, so they're gonna fix it up.
When I would drive through, that's the thing. They gave all that money out there for Ashland and for Offit Air Force Base to be funding for the flooding and everything. But my thing is that Nebraska should have minded their own business. That's what they should have said. They should have stuck to their slogan, Nebraska, this ain't for everybody. And that's what they should have stuck to. Because that's the time where it just ain't for everybody. That mess up here.
Well, that's like when they bought Ebola here. It was like, why y'all bringing that here?
Yeah. Right. I'm like, somebody said on Facebook, why every time something happened like this, there's an outbreak? Why they got to bring them to Nebraska?
I mean, and I understand, but you know, that is a compliment to us, because that means we have one of the top medical facilities in the country. And if you think about it, we're smack dab in the middle of the country. So if something has to happen, that's just like when 9/11 happened, and they announced on the damn TV
that they was bringing the president.
I was like, why you gotta tell them what they bringing him?
I'm like, for real? Y'all gonna tell everybody y'all bringing the president to Offit?
Yeah. But then I had to think, ain't nobody got no, I mean, I don't think they got no missile that's gonna reach from wherever they at.
Yes, they do. Don't underestimate them.
Girl.
I'm saying I don't think they do, but they hey,
no, they don't.
Especially the Iranians. Oh,
I'm pretty sure they got a lot of stuff we don't know about, just like we got a lot of stuff they don't know about. They ain't got bold enough. They ain't got bold enough to send it our way, because they don't want what happened back in the Hiroshima days when they evaporated the whole doggone poof, be gone. So they ain't got bold enough to take it that far. They'll mess with our planes. They'll mess with knocking down towers, but they ain't got that bold yet. They ain't got that bold yet.
I would just say this.
We coming for their ass.
I will say this. And I know people will say, I can't believe you said this. Oh, God.
It's the hood table. If they try something,
We know that fool with that orange fool gonna get him. That's because you know
I
he
will
trigger
say
happy.
that. Now he got balls. He
Yes.
got balls. He gonna push that button. He gonna punch them codes in and hit that red button.
He just
Yes.
He
waiting.
ain't got no problem doing that. I give
He
him
waiting.
that.
That fool waiting. He like a little kid at Christmas.
Right.
He just waiting for somebody to do something.
He gonna be like, what's that little who was
Like he
that?
on Jeopardy. He ready. Know that one where you slap the button and buzz in? The Family Feud when you got.
No, he like that. He like that little. He like that little cartoon character. Let me at him. Let me at him.
Scrappy.
That's one thing we know he's gonna do.
That fool will hit that button. He been waiting for somebody. Kim Jong-un, one of them. He like that dude in either Iran or Kim Jong-un. One of them gonna make him push that button.
He
Well,
like
Mr. 402 Omaha, 402 Revenue in the chat said missiles all over the state. Bellevue is in the top 10 of targets to hit. So that's why I'm like, why would they say that he's there? Like, I didn't understand. Yeah.
Hey,
well, girl, they
Mr. 402.
Hey, Mr. 402.
They got the bunker.
Yep.
That's what
Yeah, and
just tell me.
it's completely set up like the White House.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely set up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And these people nowadays with their.
I hope not. I'm gonna dig me a little underground under my basement. It might take me 10 years.
My grandparents' neighbors did that for Y2K. They was over. We kept seeing them old people hoarding shit. We was like, what are they doing? And then he finally told my grandpa, he was like, oh, we getting ready for the Y2K. If y'all want, y'all can come over here with us. My grandpa was like, no, we good.
Oh my God. I remember that. I remember the Y2K scare. I remember that.
These kids will never understand stuff like that, man.
They won't. They really won't. But yeah, I think knowledge is power. As we always say, knowledge is power. Yes. And with more people having some type of knowledge, and like you ain't got to be no political guru or anything like that, but I think people should at least be an informed voter.
Right. Yeah. So we have from now until May 12th.
Okay. And you did send me the link for the Nebraska Democrats, the candidates. So could you just read that off to me, because I couldn't copy and paste it from the private chat. So I want to put that in the main chat. So I know it starts with www. Nebraska Democrats, right?
/candidates /
Okay. So www.nebraskademocrats.org /candidates /.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Actually, hold up. Is it /? I think it's /, right?
Girl, one of them.
Hold on. I think it's /. Let me see. Hold on. I just want to make sure. Yep, that's it. That's it. I just wanted to make sure. So I'm putting it in the chat. www.nebraskademocrats.org /candidates /. So that is where you said we got to March 12th to get informed.
May 12th. Yep, May 12th.
May 12th.
That's our
Democratic
primary.
Okay, and so when they go to that website, they can check out all the candidates and get a little information, little detailed information, maybe some background information as well on these candidates and what they stand for, or what they claim they stand for.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, in your opinion, who do you think best serves or has the best platform to help with Black communities, or I should say Black and brown communities, because we are the ones who typically are left behind.
okay, staff member, and we have Democrats running against each other in the primary, I have to remain neutral. So right now for Congress, we have Gladys Harrison, Morgan Freeman, Ann Ashford, and Carl Eastman all running for congressional district lead in some of Sarpy County. So it's Darpy. Because I am a staff member, I cannot neither one of those, none of the four. So that's why I suggest always going to the website. That even goes for presidents, because that just keeps the Democratic Party neutral, so that no one's saying that we're giving favoritism to certain black people. Came out of it from that. I could have easily said, here I can endorse. So what I've done is remove myself with the Black Caucus. Anybody they like, as a group, I just won't have a say in who they endorse, just so I can remain neutral, so it can't special treatment to anybody.
Okay. And you had mentioned Morgan. I had a chance to meet her, not formally, but and I'm sure you probably remember last year when we had that protest down for the art exhibit on 24th Street. And that was the first time I actually got to meet her. And it was interesting, to say the least. But I'm not trying to sway anybody to vote or not vote for anybody. I'm just saying, I had an opportunity to meet her. But yeah, so I am definitely going to go on
Clara, because she, the last election, she actually was going door to door. Meeting people, and I actually had a chance to sit down with her literally on my front porch and talk about some issues. And I was like, I kind of like that she got out, she was able to meet people on their terms, talk about some of the issues that concern them, and she was literally taking notes and like, okay, well, I'm glad to meet you. Other candidates I have seen in parades passing out stickers.
Omaha Day, you see all of them.
Yeah. They come out and smile and wave and have their kids passing out stuff from the wagon. Yeah.
But that's why I say that it's more to that, and that's why I just really stress to candidates when it comes to the community in North Omaha. You have to do a little bit more. It's just not about parades. It's just, actually go to where they are instead of asking to. That's something that's something I believe in, and I always, to the candidates instead of just passing out things, But we got to start running. For U.S. Senate, we have people running: Alicia Shelton, Chris Janicek, Angie Phillips, Dan Wick, and Larry Marvin. We have some, like I said, you just research them and make that decision on who on May 12th, because at the end of the day, we have to remove Don Bacon out of office, Sass, and Donald Trump. Those three are on our federal level, because if I don't have a personal issue with them on their personal, I have an issue with them on their politics and the way they vote is they support the president too much, and I call them puppets because he got them on a little string and he do whatever they want to do. So we got to get them out on. We say not. His offenses were not impeachable. And you like, dude, how many times have you seen a person in jail? Right. But how many times have you noticed, like, okay, for instance, when somebody's and they're in jail and they go, oh, well, we got this jailhouse call and you were talking in code and you were talking, this is our evidence against you. They used it. This fool had a phone call and they said, there was no quid pro. Are you kidding me? So my thing is, we got to get those people out of office. Those people, and my thing, and I say to They don't support Black people. They're not looking at us. They're not looking at what they can do for us. Have you ever seen Ben Sass in North Omaha? Debbie Fisher? I think Debbie Fisher came to North Omaha one time to do the ribbon cut, and I was surprised to see her there. But you've never seen in North Omaha. I went to February of last year, had a breakfast. It was a breakfast with no food, which I like. What you call Nebraska? Like at 7 o'clock in the morning.
That's a staff meeting.
They didn't have no breakfast, no bagels, no waffles.
Croissant. Shit. Can I get a piece of toast and some ice water?
No,
and, you know, I was literally touching my back. Like, literally.
You could have went to McDonald's or Burger King or somewhere before.
Like, it's a breakfast. It's in a cafeteria. Nothing. My thing is that we got to do better, and we got to get people who really support us. So that's my thing right there. You know, we got to get people in office who really are going to fight for us, and that's federally and locally.
That's true. That's true. Now, the last thing I wanted to go over is we had talked a little bit about the tax, will tax, before, you know, we started the show. So if you could just inform the people a little bit on what this will tax, because I literally just found out about it, and you know that a lot of people in our city have been complaining about how horrible. I mean, some people are embarrassed because of how bad the streets here are, and we pay, like most states, they pay hundreds for place on a new car. We pay $100 on, you know, $1,000 on every, you know what I mean, $100 on every 1,000 on a car. If your car costs $20,000, you got to pay $2,000. $30,000, you got to pay $3,000.
So we're one of the highest tax states, and
we would think our streets would be just I'm not saying not impeccable, but we should have potholes all over the place all year round. Potholes.
Girl, we should have streets that unthaw themselves. As much money we pay in taxes.
Thank you.
Beat it straight.
Thank you.
So when I was reading her tax proposal, you know, increase, I was like, you know what? That we pay all this money for will tax, and we have really horrible streets. I mean, we know they call it pothole Gene. You know, I mean, it's like we know it's about to be horrible in the wintertime. So I sat on one of her street improvement committee a few years ago with myself, Senator Franklin Thompson, and some other neighborhood leaders throughout the city. And we had talked about how do we focus on the unimproved streets, because we have a lot of streets, a lot of the streets that were or neighborhoods that were created, and when they were created, they didn't have to. The city didn't maintain their streets, so those neighborhoods basically all the city goes through goes through, saws up the gravel that's already there, and then relays it down. That's all they do. So they have no curb, no drop. It's just a drop off. So, a lot of the neighborhoods who didn't have that would have to go in and basically ask the city, say, okay, we want streets. Does it happen? The city would then increase the homeowners on that street, their taxes onto their neighborhood, onto their home taxes to pay for that street. Well, between North and South Omaha, throughout the city, Omaha had the highest amount of unimproved streets. And the crazy thing is that we have the highest in the city. So the question was how much will area say we'll cover, like for instance, if the other neighborhoods that did it, the city would say, okay, we'll cover 40%, you cover 60 amongst that neighborhood or whether that street was, those houses, and then but everybody had to agree. But I say the majority had to agree, and then those tax according to pay for that that upgrade of that road. So when we were talking about that, it was like, you know, my issue was that you go to a street on, let's give an example because it may not be an unimproved street. 24th and Sailor. Those are all rental properties, and you say, you know what, we're gonna this road is unimproved. It has no curbs. We need to put in sewer, do this road so that it can be maintained by the city. Well, just imagine if majority of those houses are rented, and you add that tax onto that homeowner's property, that tax increase is most likely going to pass on to the renter. Well, you might have a renter who is on a subsidy, and then the value, the subsidy of that home now increases on their voucher, and then they may not be able to stay there because their voucher is not. It's more than what that was something that was really taken care of, you know, really a concern. So when her tax proposal came out, covered at 100%. Now you say you're going to cover it 100%. She says from here to Texas, I think is how much streets we have in Omaha altogether. Our streets from basically Omaha. If you wait, it would go from here to Texas. And so how long is that going to take to then? Not only that, you have your sewer, if the separation project, they're redoing the sewer systems and everything because of, you know, 5 years behind or something. So just imagine UD to do what they have to do before they do the road, because you know the city's not going to take care of the road and then, oh, well, now 2 years later we want to do the sewer separation. Now you got to clear the road up again. That's money. So it's like you really need to be focused on that. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it is like, and like when you was talking about the homeowners and stuff, like I say it a lot, I joke around. And like we was talking about the Crown Point area earlier, I'm like, how many more wheel taxes do the people who live by Northwest High School have to pay? Because I swear that's the worst road in the entire state, from 72nd all the way up to Blair High. The worst. I'm like, what do these people have to do? And I be thinking, do they complain about it over there?
Well, I'm sure they
let me tell you this. But this is the thing, though. So when my parents lived in school, I'm about to give away a secret. Because we were not a part of the city, my parents had to pay for their garbage to be picked up. The city didn't pick up our garbage. So I always used their address because I didn't have to pay a certain tax. Because they weren't in the city. So there is right. So there is certain neighborhoods in the city that don't pay a certain tax in city limits. So
they are now.
Not everybody has been annexed.
Yeah. Well, you're right, because my god sister, she had my god sister had purchased a house over there, kind of off of 72nd, a little bit further north, and they weren't annexed. They had to pay for trash pickup and all that stuff. And I was like, but you right up the street from.
Also, there's certain areas like Glenbrook. People that live in Glenbrook, if it's changed recently, I don't know if it's changed in the last 4 years, but I know that at a time, the people that lived in Glenbrook, which would be 72nd, when you're going down Sorensen Parkway, they will be right there to your right hand side before you get to the urban apartments. One of those people vote for mayor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's where she lived too, right over there. Right? Yeah. That's
because I know some people that live out in Cunningham Lake, and I was joking with them. I was like, oh, y'all can't even go vote now, and you know, y'all got to pay for y'all trash and this and that. And they were like, no, we now are part of the city of Omaha.
Yeah, so they go through and they annex certain parts. You know, they don't do it all at one time, but certain parts and certain pockets are annexed in.
I was tripping, and we just had that conversation in like maybe November. So I think it just went in effect January 1st. So I was like, wow, because you know, for 100 years, Cunningham Lake was not a part of Omaha, you know?
Mhm.
So it was just,
No,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
because 2021 she's
that's
up
true.
for re-election, so we got to be looking at that too. Like I'm playing, we got to be looking at city council. We got to be looking at everything in 2021. We got to be watching
Right.
everybody because if they're not doing it, I
Trying
don't
to
care who
play.
they are, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whoever. If they're not doing the job, then they got to go. They got to
That's
go.
right.
They
That's
got.
right. I agree.
And as William King, there's no enemies in there's no friends in politics. This is just business, however he says it. And we have things that are going on that people are, I would say, people are just doing what they want to do, and they're not. You got president. Well, I don't even call that man a president. You got that bone spurs. Yeah, Bone Spurs. He done did so much. He was employing illegal aliens. He was doing all this different stuff.
Girl,
And
not
you
paying
mean to
his
tell me
workers.
filing bankruptcy? He's been corrupt. He been making sure he don't have to be able to pay people. Had a bogus school. Like anybody can run. So it's crazy how when people run and people get mad, be like, oh well, so and so's running. And
Yeah.
One thing I did want to ask you before we get out of here, how did you say that the caucus is how the candidates learn about what's going on in or what that certain demographic has concerns about? How do we contact the caucus to give them our specific concerns?
so you go to on Facebook. We're under the caucus. You can go on there and like our Facebook page. We also have a private group. It was so funny about this private group. But the Black Caucus, we have a private group that is for us, it's our space, without anybody. I had somebody request, and every time they request, I decline it. And so I'll send them a thing. I declined your request, but you can go like the like the public group. Well, I had somebody actually ask me, say, well, why can't I be a part of your group? Well, I politely said, you do not identify as Black, African American descent, Caribbean descent. And this is a space for us. Like
Yeah.
give us our space. One thing I want to say before I go, we didn't get to talk about one thing that is very important to me, and that's our formerly incarcerated vote. So basically, if you were formerly incarcerated and convicted of a felony, and you don't have to report to nobody, I'm talking about people who do not have to go and report to anybody in the criminal justice system. After 2 years, when your sentence is complete, vote. So I do have those cards telling people why it's important for them, because your voting rights are restored, and we're going to be getting those posters out in the community, the different organizations, so that people can understand, like, your vote does count. And if you don't think your vote counts, look what happened in Iowa. Look at why them people mad over in Iowa. You know, people are mad about the caucus. Look what happened in Georgia. We could have had a Black governor in Stacey Abrams. Those people knew. They knew she was coming. They knew that she was about to make some change. And what did they do? You have somebody who basically suppressed the vote, who, number one, is the Secretary of State running for governor. He should have resigned from his position because he still had too much access to the voter roll, and they all taking vote. They did everything they could to suppress that vote, to exercise that right, to show our ID. Why do we have to show our ID to vote? If I say that's who I am, that's who I am. But you have
Right.
You have people who do not look like us, who know that they will try in any way, shape, or form, and it gets frustrating. So when you people just say, you know what, I'm done, throw my hands up, go about my business. We can't do that. We got to continue to fight, because to everything that people say, because my job as constituency director is to listen, say, especially the community, and we have to do a better job in recognizing that. Especially with the Democratic Party better job of recognizing when we're not acknowledging the things that happen in the African American community.
All right now.
I know that's right. Shoot, we do our votes matter, our voice matter. And like you said, if you're not, standing up for your community, then it's kind of like, especially when you're in politics and when you have a position like that, it's really an injustice if you're not really looking out for those that you're supposed to look out for. So I definitely agree. And again, everybody, for the people in Nebraska, if they wanted to know, who the candidates were, or get to know a little bit about them, I was just going to say again, it's in the chat, the link to the Nebraska Democrats.org for candidates. So that's all I was going to say.
Well, this whole time I didn't know I could hit live comments over here.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah. People been making comments.
I ain't paying no attention.
I'm sorry.
So I will say this. One thing we got to do is, we all, I'm growing older because I'm 40 now. So I feel like I'm seasoned now. Learning is that we may not all agree on the way that people handle things, but it's a way that we need to communicate with each other without being disrespectful. Everybody's approach to things in the community are totally different. There's some people that go aggressively. My leadership style is totally different. I'm not going to be that rebel in all black, but if it comes down to that, I'm willing to do it. But at this time, because of my job, I'm going to do it a different approach, because I will be honest with you, I'm not on nobody's payroll. The Nebraska Democratic Party pays me. So it's going to be totally different, because the way I go in impacts the way that I feed my family. Nobody got me on their payroll. Right. So my approach is different than every. I get tagged a lot. I mean, we have a way of attacking, and I think that we have to stop that in our community. That goes for everybody, not just for me. And being like in back, that's when people go in behind us and make changes without including us, because they be like, oh, well, they distracted, they tearing each other down. Let us go in and do what we got to do, and then keep it moving. We got to stop doing that, because if we don't start with, then we're always looking at the outside, especially when it comes to community. That's something that I have to work on. People I love work on. Like, we got to do a much better job.
Right.
They be throwing a lot of distractions out there to get us sidetracked.
Smoke screens.
Yep. Well, we really appreciate you, Precious, for coming on the show tonight and informing us about so much. I mean, I've learned a lot.
I'm not trying to push anybody on you. I just want to make sure that it's right is vote. We're exercising that right, especially on May 12th for our primary and on November 3rd.
Yeah. And I'm putting your phone number in the chat, 402-706-4398.
Uh-oh, 402 Revenue said Precious for mayor and governor.
Yes, 402 Revenue said Precious for mayor and governor.
I thought about running for office, but right now, I think that my main focus, I don't think it's my time yet, because I think that my time is to really continue getting our community and really being able to push us to another level. I'm blessed to be able to have this job, to be in a place where I'm able to have this voice and sit at that table and have a strong power. I just want to continue to really push our community and push that our to a point to where we don't feel that our vote is being abused. People to where we don't feel that way. And then we have candidates in office who represent all of us, just not the people who are, you know, you're rich or you're middle class, well off, because there's a lot of people for so much in the state of Nebraska, but we got to be able to get the right people in to represent us. Not saying there's no shade to nobody who's, but we have to understand that there's new up and coming leaders, and it's time for them to shine. We've sat back, we've watched.
Time for a change.
It's just time in there.
Well, I want you to know I appreciate the work that you are doing in the Nebraska Democratic Party, and also in the community, especially trying to get our people to go out and exercise. This is a right. They don't understand. This is a gift, a very precious gift that they have, that they should use and use wisely, because it's a very important gift.
You're absolutely right.
It impacts so many different lives. And, you know, I appreciate the work you're doing, trying to get Black people more engaged into the political process. And I wish you would go ahead and run for office. You know, my big mouth would be like, hey, that's my homegirl.
One day, you know, I just think about my grandmother passed away in June of 2008. And I think about how my grandmother didn't get to see Barack Obama go across that stage that November and be elected to office. And I think about while he was campaigning, she was so excited, you know, but the fact that she was not able to see him actually succeed, that's one thing that, you know, you want to push yourself to, because those people, they went through the civil rights era. They went through all that. They went through everything, you know, would not being able to grow.
One of my aunts that helped raise me, she died 8/8/08.
Yes.
And she had been just, I mean, a big Barack Obama supporter. Every time I seen her, every time I called her, that's all she talked about. And I can honestly say, when they announced that he was the president, I literally just broke down crying, because all I could think about was she didn't get a chance to see this man that she was so excited about. And, you know, we have to get excited. We have to get engaged like that again. You know, we have to get people excited about the political process again.
Yeah, because remember, I mean, they felt that presence. They felt that we fighting for them. You know, I mean, and we got to get back to that, but not.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And you guys, May 12th.
May 12th.
Make sure you are informed. You can go to the nebraskademocrats.org/candidates to get more informed about the ones here in Nebraska. And Precious gave out her phone number as well. So her phone number is in the chat. If you guys ever need to talk to her or ask her anything, you know, about anything she discussed tonight, or if you need further information, 402-706-4398.
Be respectful and mindful of her phone.
Yes. Don't be playing on her phone. Well, on that note, everybody, thanks again for tuning in tonight for Political Talk at the Hood Table. And make sure you guys like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and make sure you hit that notification bell. Can I hear it, Carmelita?
Ring my bell. Ring my bell.
Hey. Ring-a-ling-a-ling. Thank you. Kimberly Black says, Kimberly Black said in the chat, isn't Omaha anymore, but Precious and the Hood Table, she support us ladies, Native Omaha Day. That's
Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly, and thanks for everybody who had conversated in the chat. People are saying wonderful conversation. Thanks for the information. And again, you can hit her up on that phone number or go to Nebraska Democrats hoodtable.org/candidates if you need any more information. Thank you so much, the Hood Table family.
Take us out, T.
Yes. In the meantime, in between time, make sure you stay safe, be blessed, and we out. Deuces.
Deuces.
Good night.